Welcome back to Personal Evolution Explorers, a channel dedicated to knowledge sharing and personal growth through insightful books and videos. Today, we have a sharing session based on 4 stories from the classic book How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. We invite you to listen along. Showing care and concern. Mrs. Mary is a woman living in New York. Every day, as she passes by the hospital, she notices a security guard standing at the gate and working in harsh weather conditions. Mrs. Mary realizes that the young man looks tired, and she starts to care about his life and work. One day, Mrs. Mary approaches the security guard and strikes up a conversation. She asks about his job, the challenges he faces daily, and his feelings about the work. By doing so, she creates a trustworthy environment, and he feels comfortable enough to share. Over time, Mrs. Mary not only listens to the security guard talk about his job but also shows genuine interest in his personal aspects. She inquires about his family, hobbies, and dreams. Mrs. Mary offers encouraging advice and sincerely listens to the difficulties and challenges he is going through. Thanks to Mrs. Mary's care and attentive listening, the security guard starts to feel valued and important. He feels grateful and becomes more motivated to do his job better. They develop a close friendship and frequently engage in conversations. The story of Mrs. Mary and the security guard in the book How to Win Friends and Influence People emphasizes the importance of caring and listening to others. By showing care and creating a trustworthy environment, we can build better relationships and foster connections with those around us. Praise and encouragement. When Abraham Lincoln served as the President of the United States, he employed a special technique to motivate and encourage those around him. He understood that each person has strengths and potentials, and praising and recognizing their positive qualities can have a significant impact. A famous example of Abraham Lincoln's praise-giving ability is when he needed to consider candidates for important positions in his government. Instead of focusing on their faults and weaknesses, he looked for the best qualities in each person and encouraged them based on those qualities. One specific instance was when Lincoln needed to find a new U.S. ambassador for an important European country. During the interview process, there was a candidate named John, who was considered difficult and had poor communication skills. However, Lincoln noticed an important trait in John: his deep love and loyalty for America. Instead of dwelling on the negative aspects, Lincoln decided to praise and recognize John's remarkable quality. He told John, "I know that you have a deep love for our country, and that is very important. With your loyalty and dedication, I believe you will be an excellent ambassador representing our nation." The story of Abraham Lincoln and the act of praise emphasizes the importance of showing respect and encouragement to others by acknowledging and positively evaluating their good qualities. Praising and encouraging can motivate others and help them develop and reach their potential. Expressing respect and active listening. Once, when George Washington was at a military camp, he noticed a young soldier struggling to chop a large log. Despite his utmost efforts, the soldier couldn't cut through the log. George Washington approached and witnessed the scene. Instead of criticizing and giving orders, he approached the soldier and asked, "How have you been trying to chop this log?" The young soldier replied, "I have been using all my strength to chop it, but I haven't been successful." Instead of condemning and criticizing, George Washington offered valuable advice. He said, "Have you tried using the sharpest edge of the saw blade?" The young soldier stared at George Washington and suddenly realized that his saw blade was sharp at a part he hadn't been using. The young soldier followed Washington's advice and was surprised to find that using the sharp edge of the saw blade made it much easier for him to cut the log. George Washington's actions demonstrated respect and active listening towards the soldier. Instead of pointing out faults and giving instructions, he found a way to interact and provide helpful advice to help the soldier overcome his problem. The story of George Washington emphasizes the importance of expressing respect and listening to others. By showing respect and actively listening, we can build better relationships with others. When we show interest in the opinions and thoughts of others, we build trust and create a positive and cooperative environment. Considering the perspectives of others. Henry Ford, the founder of Ford Motor Company and a pioneer in the automobile industry, used a technique called considering the perspectives of others to help create a positive work environment and build better relationships with others. Once, while managing his company, Henry Ford faced tension and conflict with one of his subordinates. Instead of being rigid and having a negative evaluation of that person's perspective and actions, Ford decided to approach the situation with an open mind and consider the perspective of the other person. Ford invited his subordinate into his office and asked, "Tell me the reasons why you did what you did and why you hold that perspective." By sincerely listening and refraining from premature judgment, Ford created a space for the subordinate to present their perspective and share the reasons behind their actions. He not only listened but also made an effort to understand their thoughts and emotions. Once Ford understood the subordinate's perspective, they discussed the issues and sought appropriate solutions. By applying this technique, Ford helped reduce tension and created a collaborative and respectful work environment. When we consider the perspectives of others, we can see the issue from multiple angles. This helps us broaden our horizons and avoid the limitations of our personal viewpoints. By understanding the perspectives and reasons behind others' actions, we can generate better solutions and build consensus. From these stories, we can draw valuable lessons about self-management and emotional control. Learning and applying these techniques not only help us gain self-mastery but also create a positive impact in personal relationships, careers, and daily life. Thank you for listening, Personal Evolution Explorers. This channel shares knowledge and promotes self-development through valuable books. If you found this video helpful, please share it with those who might benefit from it. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to not miss the latest videos broadcasted every day on the Personal Evolution Explorers channel.